Some helpful hints for napping at the office. If you're convinced the boss, or if you are the boss, take a nap on your work break. Here's how to make naps work. Get rid of all the distractions. Turn off the ringer on the phone, close the door, and turn off the lights. Put a sign on your door knob, "I'm recharging my batteries," or "I'm power napping." Avoid caffeine after the first morning cup of coffee, otherwise you may feel jittery and unable to fully relax. Consider your environment. Furniture has recently been designed to aptly suit office naps, including power nap executive chairs that recline, massage your head, and envelope it in darkness. There are desks that transform into cots and chairs and couches that have built-in audio decks for playing relaxing music and alarm clocks to wake you up. You don't have to go to extremes. If you've got a couch, use it. Lying down in the optimal position, if not lying back in a chair with your feet up, is the next best way. Have a pillow handy so you'll have a comfortable headrest, or you could just sit at your desk and put your head down for a few minutes rest. Schedule regular rest periods. Just as with nocturnal sleep, it is important to get your body used to napping at about the same time every day for about the same length of time. Most people tend to feel sleepy about 8 hours after awakening. Even on days when you don't feel particularly sleepy, try to take a rest around nap time instead of taking a coffee break. Limit your nap time. A 15 to 30-minute nap is ideal. Many tired executives worry that if they put their heads down, they will fall asleep and not wake up for hours. Not to worry. Power nap. Alarm clocks are available with a one-button preset for naps of specific duration. If your work includes air travel, which can easily contribute to stress and exhaustion, particularly if you cross time zones, consider napping during your flights. The 20-minute periods you spend not working will pay off in hours of more efficient and productive thinking. A short nap before arrival at your destination is also good, especially if you're planning to drive a rental car. 40 million Americans are now working full or part-time in the home, and a good portion are probably taking naps. The emphasis is going to be on what is produced, not on where you work or what time of the day or how long you work. Napping should not be frowned upon at the office or make you feel guilty at home. It should have the status of daily exercise. Proactive education. Showing how naps and good sleep strategies can quickly restore alertness, enhance performance, reduce mistakes and accidents, and affect profits is a quick way to grab any CEO's attention. Talk to your boss. Give him or her some literature or tapes on sleep deprivation and performance, or invite a sleep expert to give a seminar at your company. Chapter 10. Surviving as a shift worker. Shift work became commonplace in America following World War II. Increasing competition and rising costs made it difficult for many industries to justify operating factories only 40 hours per week, less than one-fourth of capacity. A 168 around-the-clock work week was instituted that allowed for continuous operation and quadrupled output. Hospitals, police and fire departments, and the post office have long operated on a 24-hour basis. Now factories, grocery stores, and many other businesses also never close. Some must work while others sleep. Today, 22 million people, one-fourth of America's workforce, are shift workers. Some people work only at night and others rotate between day, evening, and night shifts. Although there are more than 700 variations of rotating shift schedules, the most common is the 7-swing. With this schedule, there are 7 straight 8-hour day shifts, then 2 days off, 7 8-hour night shifts, then 2 days off, followed by 7 to 8-hour evening shifts, then 2 days off. Such a life. Dr. Martin Moore Eade of Harvard Medical School maintains represents the equivalent of continually spending a week on Boston time followed by a week in Paris, followed by a week on Tokyo time. Needless to say, this system almost guarantees that shift workers will be in a state of perpetual jet lag without ever having had the pleasure of leaving home. How shift work affects productivity. Traditional shift schedules assumes that people can adapt to most work cycles. In reality, employees are pushed far beyond what the human body can reasonably withstand. Shift workers work 400 more hours a year than those who work only 40 daytime hours. Trying to work and remain alert at a time when the brain is calm for sleep is futile. Our natural sleep-wake cycle, regulated by light and darkness and programmed over thousands of years of evolution, prevents us from easily adjusting to night or rotating shifts and irregular work schedules. If we operated machinery or equipment in the same manner as we operate our shift workers, we would be accused of reckless endangerment. Proneness to errors. Sleepy shift workers are prone to making errors that result in poor quality work and reduced productivity. They are 40 times more likely than day workers to be involved in accidents at work, on the highway, and at home. Police fall asleep while stopped at traffic lights and report being awakened by the horns of cars waiting behind them. In a recent survey of police officers, 80% reported they had fallen asleep once a week while working the night shift. Sleep-deprived assembly line workers fall off their stools. Batches of defective products slide past. Dozing inspectors and exhausted forklift operators crash their machines into walls. Exhausted resident physicians working the night shift report falling asleep while taking patient histories. Some have hallucinated while doing surgical procedures. Nearly half report falling asleep at the wheel on the way home. The financial toll. The financial toll in terms of productivity and safety that results from reduced alertness, more than $70 billion per year. For example, the launch of the shuttle Columbia on January 6, 1986 almost resulted in a tragedy because of operator fatigue. Technicians had been working 20-hour night shifts for 3 consecutive days in a sleep-deprived state. One operator inadvertently drained 4,000 pounds of liquid oxygen from the shuttle external tank just 5 minutes prior to the scheduled launch. Luckily, the mission was aborted just 31 seconds before liftoff because of a secondary effect on the engine inlet temperature. The liquid oxygen loss was undetected until after the postponement. The crew of the Challenger shuttle were not as fortunate. Sleep researchers attribute questionable last-minute evaluations of the reliability of O-ring seals to the insufficient sleep and irregular hours of NASA managers involved in the decision to launch. 2 of the 3 top managers had less than 3 hours of sleep for the 3 consecutive nights prior to the catastrophic mission. How shift work affects time off. When shift workers manage to get a weekend off, the accumulated fatigue caused by constantly changing work hours leaves them exhausted and in a state of near collapse. It's difficult for them to get needed sleep and fully participate in family and social activities. Shift workers find it difficult to coordinate their free time with their children who are either in bed or at school. Shift workers report problems in fulfilling their sexual roles with their spouses, often leading to marital dissatisfaction. Shift workers must leave evening social events early in order to get to work on time. Even with as much as 30 to 40% more pay than their daytime counterparts, shift workers consistently rate their job satisfaction lower than do day workers, and they keep looking into getting a day job. How shift work affects sleep and health. According to the American Sleep Disorders Association, 5 million people endure sleep disorders as a result of shift work. Researchers at the Institute for Circadian Physiology in Boston, Massachusetts, have found that 70% of shift workers have trouble falling asleep. Shift workers average 1 to 2 hours less sleep than their daytime counterparts during the week, and 3 or 4 hours less on weekends. Alcohol, tobacco, and caffeine abuse. Shift workers report an increased use of alcohol to induce sleep, a dubious technique, and excessive smoking and caffeine intake to aid in alertness. One 20-year-old hospital orderly developed sleep paralysis after working the midnight to 8 a.m. shift 5 nights a week for 8 months. He would awaken during the night and be unable to move for up to 15 minutes. He had excessive fatigue during the day, which he tried to combat by taking 3.5 hours of naps per day and drinking 4 cups of coffee and 2 cola drinks daily. General physical and mental well-being. Shift workers report more sick days, have more heart attacks and cardiovascular and gastrointestinal diseases, and suffer more mood disorders, depression, and psychiatric problems than their counterparts on regular day shifts. Some studies have shown that shift work may actually decrease one's lifespan. Shift workers' mental well-being may also be affected by their work schedules, as evidenced by tension, nervousness, and irritability. This becomes more pronounced with age. Also, it is more difficult for older people to maintain sleep during the day than it is for younger people. Shift workers who miss 3 or more hours of sleep decrease their resistance to viral infection by as much as 50%. Dr. Michael Irwin, a psychiatrist at San Diego Veterans Hospital, found that people who were forced to stay up later than usual showed a decrease in the activity of natural killer cells in the body that fight viral disease. When rest is interrupted, so are the essential immune-building secretions usually emitted during sleep. Sleep experts recommend that people with a history of digestive tract disorders, diabetes, and epilepsy should avoid shift work. How employers can help employees stay alert. Employers can maximize productivity as well as reduce shift workers' sleepiness and increase their job satisfaction by taking the following steps. Provide education to their employees about biological clocks, circadian rhythms, and the importance of good sleep strategies. Change shift schedules so workers rotate no more frequently than once every 3 weeks, with 2 days off in between shift changes, and 2 rotate in a clockwise direction from the day shift to the evening shift to the night shift. Provide adequate breaks and avoid excessively long shifts. Provide areas for napping. Provide bright daylight spectrum lighting in work areas. Keep to a minimum the number of workers on night shifts. Strategies shift workers can use to improve their sleep. Whether or not your company has a shift schedule that is friendly for your biological clock, here are some tips that you can follow to make the most of your days and nights. Take a nap 2 hours prior to your shift to help make up for sleep loss. Try to prepare for your sleep schedule on your days off before the shift changes. For example, if your next shift is an evening shift, stay up a little bit later and then sleep later in the morning. Stay physically fit. This reduces overall fatigue and also increases alertness on work shifts. During the evening and night work shifts, expose yourself to full daylight spectrum bright light. Bright lights at least 2500 lux that mimic the sun spectrum and intensity can help reset the body's sleep and wake cycles. These lights are available in hardware stores and nurseries under brand names such as Vitalite and Growlux. Eat a meal or snack at the same time each day for the duration of the work shift to establish some regularity for your body's internal clock. Avoid caffeine during the last half hour of your shift because it can take so long to leave the body that your ability to fall asleep and remain asleep can be affected. On your morning drive home after working all night, try wearing dark glasses to the daylight so the daylight will not reset your biological clock and delay your sleep cycle. Avoid alcohol after work if you must sleep during the day. Any alcoholic drinks that you consume to help you fall asleep can actually cause a highly disruptive sleep pattern during your sleep period. The resultant drowsiness may also lead you to take amphetamines or caffeine to stay awake at work, and a vicious cycle begins. Try to relax, unwind, and go through a regular bedtime routine before sleeping. Some people choose to relax a little, eat a light snack, and then go to bed. Pay special attention to your sleeping environment. Ensure adequate screening from noise and interruptions by keeping your room quiet and by insisting that family and friends respect your sleep hours. Remind friends that a phone call or visit during mid-afternoon is about as welcome as a middle of the night knock on the door is for them. Keep your bedroom cool and pitch dark. It may be necessary to invest in extra thick drapes or some other means of blocking out the bright daylight. You might consider buying a sunlight box to help you adjust to rotating schedules. Exposure to daylight spectrum light before going on the evening or night shift will help reset your circadian rhythm. Try to schedule doctor and dentist appointments that work for your schedule. For you, an appointment at noon may be like an appointment at 3 a.m. for a day worker. Try to maintain a regular sleep schedule for the duration of the week. Get up at the same time 7 days a week, and also keep a regular meal schedule when possible. If problems persist, seek a physician. See Appendix D for a list of approved sleep clinics in your area. Chapter 11. Reducing travel fatigue. Overcoming jet lag. Whether for business or pleasure, many of us increasingly rely on air travel to reach our destinations, but flying can be exhausting, and flying across multiple time zones can cause jet lag. Jet lag is more than just being tired from traveling. Technically called circadian dysrhythmia, jet lag is a disruption of the body's intricate biological inner sleep cycle caused by crossing multiple time zones quickly. It occurs when the clock on the wall at your destination indicates a time far different from your internal body clock, which is still back home on its original time schedule. You are out of sync with your environment, and that has ramifications for your alertness and feelings of well-being. Jet lag causes business travelers to be less productive, athletes to be less sharp, and tourists to be too tired to fully enjoy their long anticipated faraway vacations. Jet lag is not new. John Alcock and Arthur Brown, pilot and navigator of the first non-stop transatlantic flight in 1919, experienced jet lag. Alcock reported, in our eastward flight of 2,000 miles, we had overtaken time in less than the period between one sunset and another, to the extent of 3.5 hours. Our physical systems having accustomed themselves to habits regulated by the clock of Newfoundland, we were reluctant to rise at 7 a.m. for our subconsciousness suggested that it was but 3:30 a.m. Greg Louganis, a gold medalist on the U.S. Olympic diving team, reported that the reason he struck his head on the 10-meter platform during a reverse dive at the Olympic trials in Moscow in 1979 was that he had been severely affected by jet lag. West Coast National Football League teams beat East Coast teams more often and by more points in Monday Night Football games, whether at home or away. West Coast teams are playing closer to their peak athletic performance time, with start times of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The former Secretary of State John Foster Dulles felt that his decision on the controversial Aswan Dam in Egypt was one of the great mistakes of his career, and that he might have taken a more conciliatory stance with the Egyptians been had he not been so weary from jet travel.